Hello there. You're listening to Linda Pinizzato of the Condo Expert. And wow, I think everybody is just really exhausted because you know what? I'm feeling the pinch myself. Normally I'm like totally up there and I've got my mind completely focused and I'm thinking, okay, this. Let's talk about it. Let's get it out there and let's move forward. And, funny today, between looking at a bunch of different articles and so on and trying to plug in, there was an article out there that showed the landscape of Toronto a few years back compared to the landscape of Toronto today. And that's actually in that, pretty much off the Gardiner. I found that absolutely fascinating because, again, you lose track of time and you start thinking, okay, so where are we today from where we were in the past? And interesting enough, there has been a tremendous amount of changes. But, if you look at what is going to save the condominium world, and when I say save it, I mean save it from really high increased maintenance fees. I was at the International Home and Garden Show this past weekend. I had a speaking engagement there, and I was really enamored by the questions that were asked and the amount of people that showed interest in wanting to obtain more knowledge on condominiums, because I think we're definitely getting to, a level of concern. And whenever we have an election year, this is the prime opportunity for the general public to step forward and ask for accountability. There's a lot of things on the table right now, I know, in the city of Toronto, like, for instance, the campaign to save the Gardiner questions whether or not the Billy Bishop Airport should be expanded. A huge, huge endeavor was privatizing the garbage pickup. And that was really huge. And I don't think that sometimes people realize how of a big decision that was. I'm going to give you the rundown on condominiums. When I first got involved in condominiums as far as being the president of the board, that was back in early 2001. And continuously we were using the City of Toronto garbage services and our recycling to pick up garbage waste and so on. The increase in price, in our contract price, got to a point where we looked at that and thought, this is completely insane. Why would we want to spend more money to have the municipality, for us to contract the municipality to come? Because, by the way, I don't think anybody realizes it, because it is a separate contract on your operating budget for garbage pickup in any condominium across the province. So in case you're not aware of that, I want you to know that it is a separate contract. So it's not included in your taxes like a single family home. They just have it coming. It's included in their taxes and the ratios are already arranged, but that's not the way it is in a condominium. So the interesting thing is that, so when you privatize, when you step in and you contract private recycling and garbage pickup sources, you would be amazed, because I couldn't believe the difference in price. And I guess, it stands to reason, because honestly, the city is not a corporate company. It's the city. So why not for them to turn around and privatize the garbage pickup? It makes total sense. And it actually saved money. And it was a very, very smart decision. And that's a decision that every condominium building should have taken a number of years ago, when the privatization of garbage pickup actually came out and started to hit the marketplace stronger, because it did make a huge difference. But again, how does a board of director know that? Like, how do they know that? Unless they actually put their nose to the ground on a constant basis, how would they know that? And what if their property manager did not tell them? Because, I would think that the property manager should keep them up to speed in the new things that are happening out there. But, sometimes, depending on which company that you're dealing with, it may not be of interest to them, or maybe they just forgot, or maybe they don't consider it to be part of their contractual services. So the interesting part is, in that case, it saved a lot of money on that condo corporation, just as much as it can save in the city. So there are ways to save money. There's no question about that. But the idea behind it is awareness to know what can save. You know, we've had all sorts of shows on the Condo Expert. One in particular had to do with energy savings and light, you know, changing the balusters and making them much more energy efficient. We've had, you know, so many different types of shows that could give you the heads up on things that you could potentially do in your buildings and bring down those operating budgets. But you know what? I think really interesting is that no matter which way you can save money here or there, the bottom line is where is the value? The biggest value is transparency and accountability. That is the biggest value. And that is one that has to be out there. It's got to be forced. It's got to be mandated. And it has to be out there in the condo world. Because, again, you're not going to know that you have a problem. And you may not have any sources or where to find out where it is. Because if there isn't any transparency or accountability, how do you get this information? We need accountable politicians. We need transparent and accountable politicians. And that's what's really important, because everything should be transparent. Every dime that is spent, anything that's going on. So maybe that should be, maybe the alternative to that is just, I would welcome everyone out there, if you have any suggestions whatsoever that you believe that would actually save money in the condominium world of operations, I would love to hear about it. You know, we just received a call actually from a gentleman that has some kind of IT-related services with respect to energy efficiency. Isn't that an interesting combination? And apparently out in Quebec. So we are definitely going to be following up on that one. I don't really know a lot about it right now, but it does sound interesting. So, you know, with all the different types of companies and different initiatives out there, honestly, just email me, Linda at Linda Pinizzato, and I'll spell Pinizzato. It's PINIZZOTTO.com. Because you know what? It could definitely be another show. We can't keep on top of everything because there's just so much happening around us. It amazes me, you know, and that's why I guess this morning when I was taking a look and I was looking where Mark Zuckerberg, when they started talking about where he was sited and he had bought new real estate and so on. You know, right now we're trying to make I actually have this, and spread the word because you'll be fascinated. Every single morning, I have an assistant who is sending out messages to Oprah Winfrey. Every morning at 9:30, she receives 3 messages from the Condo Expert. Now you're talking about a very powerful woman. I was taking a look the other day at how many different subjects that she's covered, and believe it or not, she's never covered. I haven't found anything that shows that she's ever covered any type of media on condominiums. But there's condominiums everywhere, so we're not talking about just Mississauga here where the Hayes FM and the Condo Expert are located. We're not talking about just Toronto where we have major high-density condominiums. I mean, there's over 3,000 plus buildings out there and 1.3 million condo owners. And not even taking into account the amount of condominiums there are across the United States and how many condo owners there are there. You know, many years ago, there was a developer that was trying to push something called fractional ownership. And then, of course, it died down. And thank goodness it did, because that was really, you know how you can buy timeshares? Well, that was a case where you'd buy a condominium structure, kind of, sort of. It was called a fractional ownership. And what it meant was is that you would buy the complex. So you'd actually buy the townhouse with 10 other people for that one townhouse. And then you would divvy up the time on it. But then you would also have the expenses for the townhouse. So you weren't just buying the time. You were also buying the townhouse, which meant depending on who's going to be using it, you're going to be responsible for the condition and the repairs and the upkeep and everything else having to do with the townhouse. And it was way outside, way north, like about an hour and a half north of Barrie in an area called Kearney. But the concept really never took off because, first of all, like, I don't understand how you could gain benefits from that. Number one, you're so far rural, it'll probably take a time for it to redeem value in it. And then the other one is that you have no guarantees on the cost of upkeep and sharing it between 10 different people and so on. It's just really downright confusing. It's no different that if you and, say, 9 other buddies decided to go buy a property together and share it off, why would you have to be up in Kearney to do that? So shared title ownership of one particular property, but it was called fractional ownership. I would recommend that you think twice before you move into that type of structure. Condominiums, at least you own the complete unit yourself. You may share ownership of the complex, so you could share ownership of the land, not the building next door, not the townhouse unit next door to you. So you own the unit yourself exclusively, but you own the shared areas, the common areas of the actual complex. And that's the same thing with condominium apartment buildings, except the difference is it's a building and the common areas of the building that you would also own. And of course, the underground and the exterior perimeters and so on. And at least that way you have protection on your own unit, so that, and that's why you've got your operating budgets, and that's why you've got your reserve fund, because the reserve funds will take care of any necessary repairs and replacements that could happen over the years as the entire complex and the shared areas of the complex end up becoming older and need some type of replacements or upgrades in order for them to keep their values. So that's a much smarter way of buying into the real estate market. You're listening to Linda Pinizzato of the Condo Expert. I will be right back.
Linda Pinizzato. She's not your typical realtor. She's your real estate counselor, teacher, and advisor. Whether it's a house, townhome, or condo, when you're ready, she's your negotiator. With 34 years of experience, Linda guarantees that you have the real estate knowledge you need to make the right decisions. Call Linda Pinizzato at Sutton Group Quantum Realty, 416-561-7373, or visit her at lindapinizzato.com.
And thank you so much for joining me. Today has been just a fascinating time of learning so much of what's going on out there. And that's what the Condo Expert is all about. I'll hit so many different issues. You'll notice them on iTunes and on podcast. Reporting here from the Hayes FM, you have been listening to Linda Pinizzato of the Condo Expert. Now, also, remember, register yourself. If you're a condo owner or condo buyer, register at www.coaontario.com. And also, if you've got questions, whether they're real estate related or condominium or property values, this and that, I wouldn't have the information I have had I not had the experience that I've received, and I certainly wouldn't have been able to start the Condo Owners Association without having this kind of a background. So contact me at Linda Pinizzato, Pinizzottto at coaontario.com or Linda at lindapinizzato.com. Until the next time, have a fantastic day, and thank you so much for tuning in.
Oh, my computer crashed.
Oh no, I've got a virus.
No way, no internet connection. Do you need help? Call IT Mayday. 647-977-7113. itmayday.com.